Hello, welcome to ShropshireStar.com. My name's Jonny Drury. I'm beside a very tired Ollie Westbury after he's completed half of his round the country trips this week, fresh from his jaunt down to Plymouth where Salop suffered heartbreak. How are you? I'm concerned about you. I don't want you to burn out.
I'm all right, mate.
Yeah.
I'm all right. I'm looking forward to heading off to Portsmouth this weekend. Plymouth, very nice ground. Not been there before. Very nice. Very good facilities. We even got TVs in the press box.
It's a long way though, isn't it?
It's a long way. It's a long way. And it was, like when you get like the epitome of what you'd expect a midweek game to be like when you go that far. Absolutely chucked it down throughout the whole game. It was a miserable weather, and then they scored right at the end, which was a blow for Town. But never mind. Long way to go.
Long way to go. Another long trip as well coming up this weekend. But just reflecting on the last few games, certainly Tuesday night as well. Just from following it and following your sort of socials, Salop are carving out chance after chance after chance at the moment, but it just doesn't seem to be in the back of the net probably as much as Steve Cottrell would like.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like that. They've played against, this is a tough run of fixtures: Charlton, Plymouth, Portsmouth. But they have had chances, haven't they? They've had, before they went ahead on in the week, they hit the bar twice. Rob Street hit the bar and Pennington hit the bar, and they had a couple of other half chances as well, and they could quite easily have gone into that game leading, and obviously they haven't ended up leading. So that's a shame for Town, and then it's come back at the end to punish them a little bit, those missed chances. It was the same at Charlton, to be fair. Tom Bayliss had a great opportunity to give them the lead in the second half, and unfortunately when the ball was flashed across the box by Shipley, he couldn't quite, and that was a game that, against Charlton, personally I didn't think they deserved to lose that game. I felt like it was an even game. It was always going to be a 1-0 or a draw, but on reflection I probably don't think they did enough to win it, but I certainly don't think they deserved to be on the wrong end of the result. It's quite an entertaining encounter, actually, and the same in midweek for 70 minutes. Possession's something.
I was going to say, I think I saw Salop had 75% possession after 65 minutes.
No, I think Plymouth had 75% possession, and Salop only had like 20.
Oh, sorry, the other way around.
But having a lot of the ball, it's kind of irrelevant. Yeah. Like Shrewsbury could have been 2-0 up at half time quite easily with the chances that they had. And in truth, until 70 minutes, really, I can't. Well, I said to the Shrewsbury media guys after, I says I'm writing a match report, and I can't think of anything to write in their opportunities about what they've offered, really, until obviously they got the goal in the 70th minute, a shot from quite a narrow angle. I think maybe, if we're being like ultra critical, that Marco Morosi would probably have liked to have done a little bit better with that one, but that can happen. He's been very good this year, and I can't think of any goals at all that have really been his fault. So that's a shame for Marco. But yeah, so that was 1-1, and then when they had about 15,000 in the ground, it was a good atmosphere, and you just felt like, with how much Shrewsbury had put into the game, that it was always going to be hard for them to hang on. And Cottrell said after the game that he was really, really proud of the players, and rightly so. It kind of, not very often that you'd lose a game but come away feeling quite positive, and I felt that's how I was leaving the game at Plymouth. I thought it was a positive performance. They've won 8 games out of 8 at that ground this year. They've not lost. They've not dropped a point, and Shrewsbury, took them all the way, and it's another game that they did not deserve to lose. So it'd be interesting to see if they can bounce back again.
Yeah, just in terms of sort of other stories, I know Steve Cottrell was saying earlier in the week, we were talking about young Tom Bloxham, and on the podcast we sort of fielded a lot of questions about the youngsters and potentially going out on loan. Steve Cottrell sees a place for him at Shrewsbury, but it was almost said he wants to see a little bit more from him. Didn't see enough in the games that he's played, in the Papa John's games. Almost that'd be a kick for Bloxham, but also sort of something to kickstart him. But almost, he is, if he can produce it, he's going to be part of Steve Cottrell's plans.
Yeah, and maybe it's a little bit of, maybe Shrewsbury have got more options this year in forward areas. Certainly, Sadie's come in, he's done well, hasn't he? He's looked a really smart addition. So you've got O'Brien working his way back to fitness normally you'd have Udo. Obviously, of course, we all understand the circumstances with him and how long he's out for. But Raquel Pike has done okay in phases when he's played, and obviously you've got Street who's come in. So they generally play with two up front and not as often with wingers. So his opportunities have been limited. But Steve Cottrell spoke honestly and openly about where he sees him, and he said that he needs to see more from the youngster. So that I think that's where we are with it, really. And I suppose it's a challenge for him. Thing is, his young players, he's had a good season. He played a lot of games last year, but young players develop at different periods, and they might have one good season, and then the next one might be a little bit quieter. So I think it's just a case of let's try and walk before we can run with Bloxham. He's a young lad. He's finding his way. In glimpses, he has shown his potential, and I am sure that the coaching staff at Shrewsbury are doing what they think is in the best interest for him. They obviously rate him because he's been rewarded with a good contract for it. So fingers crossed we see a little bit more of Bloxham, and he can rise to the challenge set to him by the boss.
Yeah, and just finally, you're getting back in the car and travelling miles and miles and miles again on Saturday. I know you've spoken with Steve Cottrell this morning. Anything from that? Anything any updates headed into what again is it's going to be another tough one, isn't it, down at Fratton Park?
Yeah, no, not really. It looks to be they're going into the game. I think it's a disgrace how far they've had to travel this week, and from being completely honest with you, I think it's an absolute disgrace. I've worked it out that I will have done 900 miles by the time I get back on Saturday. How that is conducive for elite athletes to be,
if I travelled 900 miles, my bill from the service stations would be
I mean, how are elite athletes supposed to perform, and how are we not going to water down the quality of competition? They've got a really tough game on Saturday because they'd have got back from Plymouth in the early hours of the morning, and I'm assuming they'll probably be going down to Portsmouth on Friday. They're put in an enormous shift in that game, and sitting on a bus for 4 hours can't be in your best interests. So I do sympathise with them. They've had 3 really tough games this week. Not only is it a 3-game week, they've also travelled 900 miles across the country. Why on earth these 2 games are so close together, I will never know. But there we go. That is the way that it is. And to be fair, the manager hasn't really spoken about it too much. I imagine he's probably not that happy with it. But he's determined to just crack on with it. So that's the way that Shrewsbury will go about it. And to be fair, they reacted to a disappointing result at Charlton in the week, and I know that the result wasn't the way it was, but it was a really positive performance from the team. So fingers crossed they can bounce back from that result, and fingers crossed they can get another positive one in Portsmouth, which is miles away.